all use models to make sense of the world maps, theories, labels, predictions. They help us navigate life. But there's one idea we often forget. The map is not the territory. A model is never the thing it represents. In this video, we're going to explore why every model is wrong in some way, why that matters, and how misunderstanding this simple truth can lead us to bad decisions, false confidence, and completely distorted views of reality. Once you understand the difference between map and territory, you'll see the world and your own thinking with much clearer eyes. There is a simple idea that can change the way you understand the world. A sentence so short that it feels like a riddle. The map is not the territory. At first, it sounds obvious. Of course, a map isn't the place it represents. A map of Paris is not Paris. A subway map is not the subway. A weather model is not the weather. But this simple idea hides one of the most powerful truths about how humans think everything we believe. Every theory we use, every concept we rely on, all of them are maps. And none of them are the territory. Understanding this difference can save you from bad decisions, wrong assumptions, and dangerous illusions about how the world actually works. So let's unpack it the simplest way possible. Let's start with the literal map. A map is a simplified, compressed version of reality. It tells you where things are, but not what they feel like. It tells you distances, but not the culture, the smells, the sounds, the people, the stories. A map strips away most of reality, leaving only what helps you navigate. If a map tried to capture everything, it would stop being a map. It would be the territory itself. And that's the key idea. Every useful model must leave things out. Because reality is too complex to fit inside any model. Now, once you understand this, something big becomes clear. Almost everything you rely on in life is a map. A model, not reality. Your personality tests. Maps. Your beliefs maps. Your scientific theories maps. Your understanding of other people maps. Even your understanding of yourself is a map. These maps can be accurate or inaccurate, useful or harmful, flexible or rigid. But none of them match the full territory of reality. Let's dig into some examples to see how this idea plays out. Imagine Google Maps. It gives you roads directions, perhaps some buildings. But it doesn't show traffic smells, busy sidewalks, or the way a neighborhood changes from block to block. It doesn't show the weather, the noise, or the attitude of the people there. It's accurate in one way and completely blind in another. Or take a subway map. The lines look clean and straight. The distances look equal. But in the real world, the stations might be unevenly spaced. The tunnels curved and the physical layout nothing like the diagram. The map is intentionally distorted because it's designed for clarity, not realism. This leads to an important truth. Maps are wrong by design. Now let's move from physical maps to mental ones. Think of personality models like MBTI or zodiac signs. People like them because they compress a complex human into a simple label, ENFP, ENTJ, Leo, Virgo. These labels act like maps. They help you make sense of the world quickly. But the territory, the real person, is far more complicated. Dynamic, changing, full of contradictions and surprises. So when we mistake the label for the whole person, we're confusing the map for the territory. Or consider economics. For decades, economic models assumed that humans are rational actors who make logical decisions. Those models were clean, elegant, and mathematically beautiful. But the territory, human behavior, is messy, emotional, biased, and unpredictable. This gap between model and reality contributed to major financial crises. The map didn't match the territory, and the consequences were enormous. Now let's go deeper into why all maps, even scientific ones, are flawed. The universe is unbelievably complex. If we tried to capture every detail, every variable, every subtle interaction, we would drown in information. So we build models. Simplified versions of reality that help us think, predict, and act. Models are like file compression. They remove most of the detail so the brain can work with something manageable. But compression always loses information. A JPEG photo is smaller because details are thrown away. A scientific theory is powerful because it ignores details that don't matter until they do. This brings us to one of the biggest dangers. When we forget that our maps are simplifications, we start treating them as absolute truth. For example, someone might say, "My personality type is X, so that's just who I am." They're mistaking the map for the territory. A label becomes a cage. Or someone might trust an algorithm because it feels objective, even though the algorithm is just a map built from limited data and biased assumptions. Or a scientist might treat a model as reality itself instead of remembering that it's just a tool useful but incomplete. This confusion even has a name: model blindness. It's when the comfort of a simple model blinds us to the messy truth outside it. Here's a great way to visualize this. Imagine you're looking at a city using 3 different maps: a street map, a population density map, a topographic map. Each one is true in a sense, but each one leaves out most of the picture. The actual city, the territory, contains everything at once far too complex for any one map to show. This brings us to one of the core principles of reality. The territory always wins. You can believe the Earth is flat, but reality remains round. You can believe a diet works for everyone, but biology varies. You can believe an economic model predicts everything, but humans don't follow equations. You can believe your worldview is complete, but reality is always bigger. The map can be wrong. The territory never is. This doesn't mean maps are useless. It means they're tools, not truths. So how do we use maps without being misled by them? There are 3 simple principles. First, always remember you're using a map. This creates humility. You recognize its limits. You don't confuse your idea of reality with reality itself. Second, update your maps. The world changes. People change. You change. A good thinker updates their models as new information appears. Third, use multiple maps. When you combine different perspectives, scientific, emotional, logical, experiential, you get a more complete picture of the territory. No single model has the whole truth, but many models together can get you closer. This idea applies everywhere. In careers, the map of how things work becomes outdated every few years. In relationships, your model of someone must grow as they grow. In science, every theory is eventually replaced by a better one. In AI, the outputs are not reality, they're maps built on patterns. Even your own self-image is a map that must be updated as you evolve. Once you see the world through this lens, you understand why debates happen, why predictions fail, why biases form, and why misunderstandings are so common. People aren't fighting reality, they're fighting over maps. And the only thing worse than a wrong map is thinking you don't need to update it. So what does the metaphor truly teach us? That reality is infinitely richer than any model we build. That complexity doesn't vanish just because we ignore it. That the territory doesn't adjust to our ideas. We must adjust our ideas to the territory. The map is not the territory. The model is not the world. The theory is not the truth. The label is not the person. The belief is not the thing itself. Use maps, improve maps, but never worship them. Because the territory, the real messy, complicated world, is always bigger, deeper, and more surprising than anything we can draw. And the moment you understand that, you start seeing the world not through rigid models, but with curiosity, humility, and clarity. The map is useful, the territory is real, and wisdom is knowing the difference. If this video helped you understand why models sometimes mislead us, remember it's not because models are useless. It's because reality is always bigger than the tools we use to describe it. The key is to use maps, wisely update them often, and never confuse them with the territory itself. If you want more videos that turn deep ideas about thinking science and reality into simple, clear explanations, make sure to subscribe, leave a like, and tell me what topic you want explained next. Thanks for watching Plain Explain, where clarity meets curiosity.